The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please say good morning. And I don't know how many years I've known her. I was thinking about this last night, gearing up to have her on the radio show. She's an attorney. Please say good morning and welcome to back to the radio show, Orly Taitz. Miss Taitz, good morning.
Good morning, Peter. Thank you for inviting me.
You know, this drumbeat gets louder and louder and louder on Barack Obama and his life. When did you, as so many other people, when did you make a decision that something wasn't right about his life story?
Well, very early on in the campaign, actually, the way reports back in end of 2007, and there was a report in, I think it was Texas Darling, where there were questions about his eligibility, his birth certificate, and as you know, for 5 years I've been working on this. And I have still a number of cases that we're still waiting decisions from judges. One of the cases in Mississippi, we're waiting the case I filed in February of 2012. And it's been over 2 years, and there is no decision yet. And that's a trial court, not the Court of Appeals, but at the trial court. And that's a case that deals with racketeering, where a number of people are defendants, together with Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Democratic Party of Mississippi, Astro, former Commissioner of Social Security. So I've been fighting this fight for 5 years, and the evidence is just mounting more and more.
Let me ask you this, and there are people like you that I respect so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, please, it's true. And you've been through a lot of fights. When I find folks like you that I have my respect for, and so many others, the list now grows, and I say to them, what is Barack Obama's true life story? Every one of them says, I really don't know. But I know the story that's being put out there and supported by the mainstream press is not true. If I were to ask you that question, what is Barack Obama's real, true life story? Orly, do you know it? Because I don't.
Well, we don't have all the information, but what we do know is absolutely frightening. Of course, none of the documents that he is using are correct. There is evidence that the Social Security number that he is using was issued to a gentleman by name Harry Bunnell, and we have Bunnell's information. And of course, it's a Connecticut Social Security number. None of his ideas are true. And what is even more sinister in this whole story, and that concerns me, that we're seeing time and again evidence of two different individuals existing. One, for example, we know that early on Obama claimed that he resided in Hawaii when he was born with his mom and dad, and that's of course not true. We know that his mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, lived in Washington State when he was a baby.
But after. Yeah. And for the people that don't follow this all the time, but we know that she left Hawaii, and I mean know this. This is hard facts. He was probably 9-10 days old, and she moved back to Washington. Now, that part of it is provable by enrollments in college, rent receipts, eyewitnesses. Absolutely. So we know that 2.5 years of age, I went to the airport to say goodbye to my father. We know that's a lie. But no one's sure what the truth is.
Well, but aside from that, what bothers me is the fact that, according to the official story, he went to Indonesia when he was 7 years old, came back when he was 11 years old. And, of course, we gathered evidence that that is not true. There is a photograph of Barack Obama together with his friend.
With a little black kid. Yeah.
Well, with a Japanese young boy.
There's another kid. That's right.
Yeah, Scott Inouye, and it says 1969.
Right.
So we know that Barack Obama did not live in Indonesia for 2 years, from 67 to 69. That at least those 2 years he lived in Hawaii. But we also have records of a boy by name Darius Toro who lived in Indonesia during those 2 years.
Stop again. For the people that don't know the story, I this is my belief, but I think I could fairly say I know, that his mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, never married Barack Obama, but she did marry a guy named Lolo Soetoro, and they did move. Yes. They moved back to Jakarta, right?
Yes, but what is interesting, that according to his official story, he moved to Jakarta, Indonesia, together with his mother in 1967, when she was 6 years old. That they flew Japan Airlines together, and that they ended up in Indonesia. But that was a lie, because we have evidence of him residing in Hawaii until 1969 or possibly 1970. So we have evidence of two separate individuals residing, one in Hawaii by name Daryl Baba, and a completely different boy residing in Indonesia from 1967 to 1969, and that's a boy by name Barry Suetoro. Then Barry Obama goes to Hawaii, and in 1961, a boy comes back, and everybody assumes that the boy that came back is Barry Obama. I don't believe that to be the case.
Really?
From what I see, the boy that came back is Barry Suetoro, who was raised in Indonesia, who was indoctrinated there in radical Islam, who does not have any allegiance to this nation. And it's interesting that Russian television has sent a crew to interview me. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to the producer, and he told me, I was one of the producers on Salt. I don't know if you recall, there's a movie called Salt.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a very similar story. Yeah. I don't know, maybe he tried to kind of draw my attention to this point, but I knew that already. Salt is a story about a girl who was born and raised in Russia. Mm-hmm. And there was a car accident in Moscow, and supposedly an employee of the American Embassy and his wife were killed. The girl survived. She had multiple surgeries. And then after those surgeries, she was sent back to U.S., and she became the CIA agent Salt. Mm-hmm. And then later on, we find out that basically the girls were switched, that the girl who actually was sent to the U.S. At the age of, 10, 11, was a Russian girl who was born and raised in Russia, indoctrinated in the communist Russia and so forth. And something, it's quite possible that that's exactly what happened with Obama, and maybe he was drawing my attention to this story Salt, just to kind of make me think of the connection.
Yeah. What's to me is sometimes they're called sleepers. Sometimes they're sometimes they're called moles. I guess Kim Philby is if you know, Kim Philby's the classic sleeper. It's so, you know what, Orly, that's so crazy. But because no one knows the truth, and I use knowledge and belief are two separate things. I can believe the moon is made out of green cheese if I want to. I can believe that. But knowledge says it isn't. And so since no one really knows, and this is the first time, and this is why I had you on the show, the first time I ever heard this sleeper story, and is it anything goes because nobody knows the truth?
Well, I believe that, when you look in the global arena, we know that international globalists are trying to deindustrialize the U.S. and Western Europe and move all the manufacturing to slave labor in communist China and other de facto slave labor countries. So in order to effectuate something like this, I believe they needed somebody who has no allegiance to this nation, no love for this nation. And even Clinton, who has done a number of things that actually ultimately hurt this nation, particularly signing WTO gifts, he was still born and raised in this country and had some love and allegiance for this country. They couldn't squeeze out of Clinton everything they wanted to squeeze. But with Obama, a person who has no allegiance to this country, who has this internal hate towards white people, who has internal hate towards Christians, who believes in redistribution of wealth, who is very much against American imperialism. He is the perfect guy to basically destroy this nation. And look what he is doing, the way he is destroying the U.S. military. He's purging the military of top officers, and 200 top officers were discharged from the military. They're bringing up all kinds of legal actions against top officers. You see $7 trillion worth of debt that is destroying the U.S. economy. We're paying today the interest on the debt, I believe, is higher than our expenses on the U.S. military.
That is true, yes.
So I mean, this guy is hard at work destroying this nation, and a lot of people are compromised. By the information that the NSA and FBI have on them in their files, with all of this unending spying, and two, some people are bought. And we have such a scam in our elections that the ruling elite can put the most corrupt individuals in top positions of power, people who are either compromised or people who can be bought, and that's why the charade goes on. Oh, I'm hoping that that more people are waking up, and that finally there will be a couple of good judges that finally will rule in my favor. And I don't know if I discussed this with you previously, but I do have I do have a case in Maryland. I think I was not on your show when I got latest decisions, but the judge there ruled in my favor twice already, and that's a case dealing with Obama's use of a stolen Social Security number. I have filed the case, and the Department of Justice claimed that this gentleman, Harry Bunnell, never applied. They don't have his records. I provided to the judge the papers showing that they're lying, and the judge denied their motion to dismiss the case. That was it was a very positive decision. And just recently, what was done to me is that some documents just disappeared from the docket. They were there and just were deleted. And then when I submitted my latest pleadings, the clerk refused to docket them on a just bogus pretense. So I wrote directly to the judge, to her chambers, and she overruled and she ordered the clerk to find the documents and post them and post all of my pleadings. And miraculously, the clerk found the documents and the pleadings and docketed everything. So far, there were two good decisions from this judge. I'm praying to God that the judge is just an honest woman who will finally rule in my favor.
Yeah. If you just tuned in, Orly Taitz is with us, Peter Boyles, 710 KNUS, and it's been a quest of mine, and I've always said I love a mystery, but this is far more than a mystery at this point. Who, in fact, is Barack Obama? Now, again, when you work only in theory and there is no knowledge, there is no truth, there's simply the word is supposition. And when you read, whether it's historians, whatever it is, people will chase stories through blind alleys oftentimes and over rooftops oftentimes. And because it is this much is provable, Barack Obama's official story is a lie.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.